with. I do a lot of work emotionally, a dizzying amount, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that I'm very cerebral that way. I care a lot about research and understanding. I'm always reading, listening, and ingesting stuff. I said that when we began the show almost a year ago. I'm a nerd. Leave all the research to me. I'm totally fine doing it. Well, nothing has changed. In fact, it's probably intensified over the last year, especially in my efforts to make sure that I'm bringing you guys positive, uplifting, healthy, thought-provoking content. That doesn't just come. It's something that I think about, and I pray about, and I do automatic writing about, and I meditate about. I spend a lot of time figuring out how to be balanced because I find that I'm so much more productive when I'm in touch with myself and grounded, like Oprah says. And I have my own things that uplift my spiritual energy, and I have people that I listen to, and I seek out astrologers, and I do all kinds of things. But those are my practices, and not everybody's practices are the same. I have an aunt who's deeply spiritually religious, and when I say religious, and that's what I mean, she loves the ritual of church. She's Catholic, and she loves the rosary beads, and she loves going, and she loves kneeling, she loves confession, and in that way she's grounded. Who am I to judge her way of connecting? Because it doesn't necessarily match mine, and who is she to judge mine because it doesn't match hers? She doesn't get what I do to my family. I'm kind of a strange person. I'm very much like no one in my family. You hear people that come from generations of readers and psychics and things like that. That's not what I am. I don't know. This is some past life stuff I would assume for me. But for my family, they don't get it, but they love me and they accept that I do work. And I tell her, you love what you do. Sweet aunt, you love what you do. And so this is how she grounds herself. That's why I tell you about this. And I make no bones about it. I think it's beautiful because she finds peace and solace and connection to the universal source in that. And for someone else that's a Buddhist, it will be another thing. Or someone else that's a Muslim, it's another thing. The important thing, which brings us right back to the beginning of the Tao, what is your natural order? And that's what Oprah recommends, is knowing what your natural order is and tapping into a way to uplift your spiritual energy and feed and nourish yourself. She has a show called Super Soul Sunday, so for those of you that, if Oprah's your jam, you could tune in. For some people, Oprah's not their jam, so they're not going to tune into that. But there are so many thought leaders in the world that are raising vibrations, and you can find them everywhere. We are in the information age. What a blessed time to be alive. At the literal Google, you can find whatever ideology, whatever idea, whatever spiritual practice that you'd like to learn about at your fingertips. So I suggest you know what that is for you because it will help you. It will be the rudder that guides you through life, okay? Number 6, Oprah says we all want to be heard and pay attention and have someone validate us and have someone pay attention to us. She advises to listen fully to others as you would have them listen to you. It sounds like some golden rule stuff there. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But this one changed my life, and it changed the way I do my readings. It changed the way that I'm a friend. It changed the way that I am a debater. I remember being in semantics and logic in school, and even listening to Oprah then was changing the way that I would enter into a debate with my peers in the classroom because I was listening to their arguments. I was listening to their reasoning, and I listened. And this causes good things in my life, like people coming up to me in the grocery store and telling me their life story. As a lot of energy workers will talk about, that's a phenomenon that happens. People just gravitate to you because they know that you're doing work, and they want to be around that. But I also make people feel heard. I really listen. Even if I disagree vehemently, I listen because I never know what I'm going to learn. And I'm excited about learning, and I'm excited about that exchange. That's my natural inclination. For everybody, that doesn't come naturally, but it doesn't mean that it's not a skill set that you can't develop. When you're having an argument with someone, guys, what they're wanting is for you to listen to them. They want you to validate their point, even if you don't agree. Yes, I understand why you don't want to put the cup over here and you want it to the left and not the right. You may think it's ridiculous because there's a leak and you have the cup there for a reason. But they want to know that you get why they're saying that. You can make an enemy a friend or a foe an acquaintance if you really listen. One of the best lessons she ever taught me is number 6. and it's changed the way that I carry myself, period, in the world. And I get feedback from people, from my clients, from friends that are like, this is a great reading, and it's the best reading I've ever had. I'm not doing anything magical. What I do is I make them feel heard. Sometimes we're so busy giving information and our perspective and what we want you to know that we're not truly listening. One of my favorite quotes is by Maya Angelou, and it talks about people will forget what you said or what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. If you make them feel heard, you have gained someone that will respect you and will come back and will feel like you really care about what's going on in their life. It's a magic trick that's not so magic. So listen. And remember that sometimes in those moments when you're frustrated and sad in an argument, what you want is to be heard. So give someone else what you want and watch it come pouring back in that circular motion Oprah talked about in regarding to the laws of physics. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. It will come back to you. Someone will listen to you. Truly listen. Number 7, pay attention to your life because your life is your greatest teacher. Oprah has these classes called Master Class, where she has people of all walks of life, from comedians to actors to singers to musicians and great people, authors, Bill Gates. I can't think of all the people, but she has them come on and do essentially the Dao of them, the way of them, how they went through their life to get to where they are and what lessons they learned. Fantastic. If you ever get a chance to watch it, there are some that you will resonate with, and those are the people that have lessons similar to your life. But paying attention to your life is what caused her to create that show, she says, because your life is your greatest teacher. And she says something like that at the intro of the show. Everything that's happening to you every day, your joys, your worries, your fears, everything that is happening inside of you is trying to take you home to yourself. I love that. It's trying to take you home to yourself. And when you're at home with yourself, you are solidly there, connected to whatever you're anchored to. And then, it is only then that you're at your best. You have to be at home with yourself. This was such a great lesson for me as I was doing readings for many years, working parties and charities and different events. And I had people, well-meaning people, like we talked about at the top of the show, who advised me to become a character, like a Miss Cleo character. Now, I happen to be of West Indian descent. I could probably pull off the accent. I happen to wear head wraps sometimes just because I like to when my hair is in an afro. So there are parts of me that are the caricature because it's part of my culture, and that's what she was doing, was borrowing from the culture to create a caricature. However, that is not who I am all day. I'm more apt to wear a little bling than I am a head wrap every day. And if my head wrap's on, it's got bling in it. So that's who I really am. And I was very uncomfortable with these people advising me to further my career by becoming this lovable character. Well, I'm Monette, and that's all that I can be. And sometimes that comes with truth, and sometimes it comes with too many words. Sometimes it comes with great advice, and sometimes it comes with egoic delusion because I'm human. But I couldn't be something that I wasn't. And I think that this is so important to be home with yourself because whatever your platform is, like our friend that had the car wash, he couldn't be a banker. He had to be who he was. And in that moment, who he was a car wash guy with a big heart. And that was more than enough for our community. He was so loved. He's so loved. He still lives. He's so loved because he was just kind. He didn't try to put on some schmaltzy accent. He didn't try to do anything else. He just was who he was. So, and here's the truth. You can only hold your breath for so long. So if you're sort of pretending and putting on airs and posturing, you will be found out. I couldn't be that character Monette that they wanted me to be, even though they meant well. Because I had to be me, because at the end of the day, I would be found out if I wasn't. Be your authentic self. So that's a great lesson. Oprah also suggests that you bring little pieces of light into people's lives. She said that she realized this about herself. She identifies that she's there to raise the level of consciousness in the world. And I like this about her. She's so right. Oprah's an Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about humanity, groups, the greater good. They're very outwardly focused. So that energy rings very true to her sun astrology sign of Aquarius. So I ask you, what are you here to do? So I speak to clients every day who ask me, do you know what my calling is? And I always tell them that no matter where you are responsible for the energy that you bring into the room. And this is something that Oprah said to me for many years, not directly to me, but through my TV, y'all, okay? So you are responsible for the energy that you bring in the room. I personally speak with doctors, I speak with millionaires, I speak with phlebotomists, I speak with garbage men, I speak with pilots, and they each ask me almost every single day if they're living in their purpose. And so I think that's really powerful. I understood and heard Oprah talk about this all my life, but now that I work with clients and have for many years, I realize, we all want to know what we're here for. She said it, I heard the shows, I read the books, but now I hear it in the voices of the people that I work with. And what I want you to know is that whether you're in your calling, there are jobs and there are callings, and I could do a whole show on that, but here's what's happening. You have a platform wherever you are. If you are a pilot, you can affect people. We've seen those viral clips where a pilot maybe sings a song, or a pilot says a kind word, or a pilot calms down a plane of fearful people. They don't always have to make that choice. They could just do their job, A to B to C, and get you there, and the end. But when they infuse their energy and personality into a flight where you might need calming, or you might need a little smile, or you might want to laugh because their singing is great, or applaud them, that's when they're living in their truth and they're living in their calling. It doesn't matter what their job is. Your calling is to raise the vibration and bring little pieces of light to the world. That's everyone's calling. So it doesn't matter where you are. You have a smile to offer. You have warmth to offer. You have a perspective to offer. You have a lesson to offer. And you can do that from your desk in your cubicle. I've done it. And it's not because I've done it. I've seen other people do it. So never underestimate that we all make an impact in the world. Number 9 goes back to where we started, but she hit on this again, and I thought it was for a reason. Know when you're no longer in a place that you belong. She talked about how she went to her kindergarten teacher, Oprah was real smart young, and said she did not belong there, and she proved it to her teacher, and she ended up jumping several classes. She says, I don't belong here. And the teacher said, what do you mean, Oprah Gail? She says, I know big words. I know words like Nicodemus and elephant. And the teacher said, well, do you know how to say those words? Do you know how to spell those words? And so she wrote down a list of all of the biggest words that she knew. The teacher did not believe that she didn't have help because she didn't watch her write it. She bought it in. And so the next day they took her into the principal's office and they said, Oprah Gail, you write down all those words that you have on this list without looking. And she did it, and they moved her out of the grade. Know when you no longer belong in a place. She listened to her instincts, and she was her own advocate, which is a huge thing. So when you're in a place that no longer fits your energy, be bold and make your shift. We often get complacent. I worked in corporate America for years. I hated the job. I hated the energy of the management. I hated so many things. And I realized that what I was doing was staying for the illusion of safety and security instead of doing what I'm doing today, which is living my best life. And I mean that. Working in a field that I love, with a schedule that I make. I cannot say enough gratitude-filled words about the shift that happened. But I had to be very uncomfortable to make that shift. It was created from contrast. Trust me, it wasn't all lollipops like, oh, go be a reader now. I'm a wonderful person. It wasn't that at all. It was very uncomfortable because I was fearfully hanging on to a thing, and I knew I didn't need to be there anymore, and I knew that I was evolving, and I knew that it was time to move on, and I didn't want to let it go. Don't be me. Know when it's time. Be Oprah. If you can, embody some of these principles and be bold and say, I don't belong here anymore, and take your life in your hands, because it's so much easier that way, guys, with the wind at your back, instead of you gripping, white-knuckling for dear life to hang on to something that no longer fits you. That's a fantastic lesson. She says, know that there is a supreme moment of destiny that awaits you. I love this. 25 years into the Oprah show, Oprah knew she was done. She knew she was done 20 years in. She hung on, thought, white knuckles, I won't let go. But she knew she had to move on. But Oprah understood that in our culture, we value fame and the cachet that comes with it, she says. She also understood that her show was just a foundation. And to be heard, she had to have the fame. So the real question was, to her, when you have the fame, what are you going to do with it? And we see what she's done with it to a great extent. Not all perfect, but certainly pushing our collective consciousness forward. Oprah is a great mother in so many ways. Though she chose not to have kids, she still mothered so many of us. So she asks you, how are you going to use what you have to further the agenda of growth